Peters, is it?
My name is Carl Peters. My office is in Forge, New Jersey. I'm licensed as an engineer, planner, and land surveyor in the state of New Jersey.
Yeah, I don't think that's working very well.
We're
Carl.
not hearing you.
And I want to swear you in, Carl. To the extent you're providing testimony, do you swear or affirm to testify truthfully?
I do.
Thank you.
I'm here representing Mr. Andrew Grossman and his wife, who live at 11 Old Orchard Lane. They've asked me to come and provide some planning testimony to express their concerns about the project. I do have a presentation board, and I have some smaller copies in color for the board and for the applicant and the staff. While we respect the applicant and their professionals and the staff, we have concerns with regard to the planning of the site, specifically in two areas. Primarily the siting of the building with proximity to the adjacent residential properties and the screening of that building from the residential uses. I note that Ordinance Section 10B-204 notes that the public interest is affected by specific development characteristics, spatial relationships of the structures and open spaces to existing and proposed land uses. Ordinance Section 10B-210, review by committee, subsection C, requires review of the relation of the proposed structures to the environment. Under 10B-226, the standards to be used by the planning board and committee in reviewing applications for site plan approval include the relationship of the proposed structures to the environment. And I'll paraphrase slightly. Proposed structures shall be sited so as to minimize the adverse impact upon the surrounding area and particularly upon any nearby residents and historic features. And items to be considered include building location, height, bulk, and shading, as well as the location, intensity, direction, and times of indoor and outdoor lighting. Under Section 10B-227.6 Design Standards, it notes that new buildings should be integrated in a non-disruptive fashion into a complex balance of building height and scale that now exists. And says careful consideration should be given to the visual impact new buildings will have on the surrounding community. Now, I note in the staff reports, for one, there's no mention of the uses surrounding this property to the south. There's mention that the proposed office building is adjacent to similar office buildings on the west, but no notation to how that's related to the residential uses on the south. In an application composite that's undated, there was a note that the planning considerations note that the new construction will have a much larger impact on the adjacent Old Orchard Lane properties. I didn't see that. Then they'll have more impact on the Old Orchard Lane residences than SAVE did. But I haven't seen any comments to that regard within the staff reports or SPRAB to date. The Site Plan Review Advisory Board makes no mention about the impacts that this development will have on the adjacent residential district. Subsection 10, screening of uses, requires in item 10B-304 that between non-residential uses and the lot line that borders a residential use or district, a landscaping buffer strip is required. Under 10B-307, width, it says that the required buffer strip shall be at least 50 feet in width at all points. The board may increase the width of the buffer strip up to 75 feet. I don't know why that that hasn't been addressed in the application or the staff reports. Now, I've put together a little bit of a diagram that addresses what our concerns are, and primarily you can see in the blue is the footprint of the proposed building. The yellow line represents the district line between the S2 zone to the north and the R2 zone to the south. This property is bordered on three sides by commercial districts. To the west by S2, but to the north by S2, and to the east by the Office Research District. On the south is the only of the four sides of this property that's a residential district. When I look at how the building is sited, I note that the front setback's 133, the west side yard is 119, the southerly setback is only 73 feet. Why is it that the smallest setback is between the commercial use and the residential use? I note also that this building is set back further from Herringtown Road than either the one-story building immediately adjacent to it to the west or the two-story building somewhat further to the west, which the one-story building is approximately 60 feet from the street and the two-story building is approximately 90 feet from the street. The rear yard setbacks of those buildings are approximately 150 feet, which is more than twice the setback between the proposed building and the southerly line of the site. We believe that there are many benefits to this project, but the building needs to be moved closer to Herringtown Road and further away from the residential uses on Old Orchard Lane. And we believe the board has the opportunity to take an action that will make this project better and less intrusive on the neighborhood. Thank you.